All right. Looks like we're live. Well, I want to welcome everybody to the first show of this series. I don't know how many different series I've done, but I thought we'd start another one here for teachers of the Northwest, Pacific Northwest specifically, here in Washington, Idaho, and Oregon. My name is Jeff Udick. I'm an educator, consultant, and author. I've been working with school districts around the world and more frequently here in the state of Washington. And so I was looking for a way of giving back to the community around the Pacific Northwest, originally from Spokane, now make my home in Seattle, and thought that we could start a podcast series for the Northwest on what that should look like. We haven't come up with a name yet. So we're looking for a name. If you have an idea about something that is about education, educational and technology related, our idea is to take things out of the Google Education Group communities of Washington, Idaho, and Oregon, and discuss any questions you have. We're going to, feel free to join us on the show. You can email us or hit us up on Google Plus, and we'll get you in here to talk about different topics. Our goal is to do one a month, and so we're looking forward to just having conversations, and that's really what this is about, and bouncing ideas off each other. So for this first one, I thought we would just, seeing that nobody else is here, Justin was supposed to join me, but I think he must have got held up at work, which is no problem. One of the nice things about not being in this school district per se on a daily basis, it gives me a little more freedom to do this kind of stuff. So what I wanted to do is just start with this first podcast and maybe talk about where we are starting off the new school year and what are some of the routines. And seeing that there's no one else here to have a conversation with, I'll just ask you to maybe in the comments to this video, maybe add what are some of the routines that you have as you start off the new school year, specifically around education, educational technology. If you find yourself in a one-to-one classroom, what are some of the routines you set up? If you're in a Chromebook situation, or even if you have a cart of Chromebooks, what are some of the situations and expectations you set up for the new year? So I was going to just put out there some of the things that I've done in the past. I've taught all grades from kindergarten through 12th. And some of the things that I found, first of all, one of the questions I always ask teachers when they're going into a tech-rich environment, or what I call a connected classroom, what's on your wall? What are the things that are on your wall that create that atmosphere for your kids? And does it show and help to support a blended learning environment or a connected classroom environment? Now, we know, especially here in the Northwest, the idea around testing, and almost all of the standardized tests now are taken on a computer. And so we have to be thinking about what are the things that we are giving to students early in the year and building on that when it comes to even just being able to run a computer come test time. I don't want to talk about the test and all that, but we have to have a familiarity with the computer in order to do that. So one of the ideas that I've been floating out there lately is this idea that maybe we need to have a poster that is all the keyboard shortcuts. Kids know a lot of them, but kids don't know all of them. And so what if one of our posters, on our wall in our classroom, it has all the keyboard shortcuts kids might know, things like copy and paste and select all and cut. A lot of those keyboard shortcuts, not all of them, a lot of them work within different testing software. And so just getting kids familiar with that is something to put up on the wall. The other thing I've seen, and one of my good friends and fifth grade teacher, Chrissy Hellier, in her connected classroom, she starts the year off by having on the wall a poster of all of her students who know a specific skill or a specific program. And as they use different programs throughout the year, they continually add names. So if a student, for example, if a student is really good at Blogger, they become the Blogger expert for the classroom, and their name is up on the wall. And every other student knows that when we're dealing with Blogger or we're writing a blog, that's the student you go see. Or it could be something like iTunes, or it could be even Google Docs or Google Slides. Kids have a lot of just exploration knowledge that we don't always have. And so being able to have them showcase that, I think, is really important. So maybe something else to go up on your wall is this idea of tech experts, that we know that you as a teacher, you don't need to know it all. You're not going to know it all. So how do we leverage that in the room and then make that very visible of here's who you go to for help? And I think that's a really important idea as well. The other thing I think about is setting up technology expectations in the classroom. And what are those expectations and what are they looking like? I've seen some teachers, and I've heard some really good stories from teachers of just having the ability. A teacher I was talking to in a one-to-one Chrome classroom, and just because you're in a one-to-one Chrome classroom, it doesn't always mean that you need to have the Chromebooks every day. So what this teacher did is this teacher actually had a symbol of the Chrome browser symbol on her board, and when she had it on the board, that was assigned to the students to bring their Chromebook for the day. If the Chrome symbol wasn't on the whiteboard, then kids knew they didn't have to bring their Chromebooks, or they left their Chromebooks underneath their desk and they didn't need them for the day. So setting up different expectations like that, setting up expectations of, when do I want you to close it? What are the signals in your classroom? One of the things I always talk about is we open up a lot of tabs when we're researching and using technology. So some of the things we'll do is I have a thing in my classroom where if I go like this means Control or Command T. And so it's just a way of helping kids and setting up those expectations early on in the school year so we can build on them all year. So that's another one that I use. It looks like Justin is getting in here, so hopefully he'll pop in here soon and we can ask him about some of his. See, he's clicking on the link. I don't see him showing up in the stream yet. I'll just wait a second here and see if Justin comes in. Otherwise, I'll just keep talking. Well, I don't see him popping in here yet, but if he does, we'll ask him about some of his routines for the start of the school year. But I think it's important that, in a connected classroom, that you set those expectations early. One of the things I've been talking a lot with teachers is, we have expectations for our classroom when the kids are face-to-face. And what are those expectations? And a lot of times at the beginning of the year, we set those expectations as a class. We'll have different routines, or you'll have a different lesson around helping kids understand your expectations for class. Do we do the same thing for our blended environment? So if you're using something like Google Classroom or Edmodo or Schoology, do you do the same kind of process so that kids know what the rules are? And a lot of times, and one of the things I've been focusing on is helping teachers to understand that the rules that are in your face-to-face classroom are the exact same rules that should be applied to your digital classroom or your blended classroom environment. And so a lot of times when we have things like respect others, that same thing goes for in-person and goes for on the web. And that's and helping kids to understand that and realize that. So setting those kind of expectations early and making sure that whatever the rules are in our face-to-face classroom are the same rules that are in our digital classroom. So those are some of the ideas that I had about starting off the new school year with what are the things on your walls or what are the expectations that you set. If you have some that you'd like to share, please leave them as comments on a thread somewhere, and we'll try to gather those and put those into the show notes. Other than that, I just wanted to give you a rundown of things coming up that I found in the different Google Education Group communities here in the Northwest. I was going to try to do these in order. I think first thing to remember is there's a Northwest TOSA chat that goes on Twitter using the hashtag NWTOSA chat, so Northwest TOSA chat. That happens at 8 p.m. on Wednesdays. The nice thing is about Twitter chats is you can join in live, or you can go back and read all the things that happened later on. So that's a great way to do it too. So know that that's Wednesdays on Twitter. There's so much stuff going on in the Pacific Northwest. It's awesome. October 1st and 2nd, there's a Google App Summit at White River. There's more information about that, I think, in all the Google education groups. So make sure to check that out. If you've never been to a Google App Summit, it's something worth going to as well. What else in order? October 8th, at Chief Joe Middle School in Richland, there is the Digital Bug Southeast Google Apps Summit. So another one in Southern Washington, if you can make it to that as well. Then October 28th, 29th, my company, Eduro Learning, is putting on tech tastings. It's a 2-day event in Walla Walla where you can go and It's a 2-day workshop about connected classrooms and working, with technology and infused environments for all grade levels. There'll be myself and my good friend Chrissy Hellier, who are going to be running that. And so you can find out more about that at edurolearning.com. And there should be links and more information in all the Google Education groups as well. And then on November 5th, this is just coming out. November 5th, there's an Ed Camp Seattle. If you've never had an opportunity to go to an Ed Camp, I strongly encourage it. November 5th, it's going to be held at Seattle Pacific University from 9 a.m. to 3 p.m. You don't have to stay for the whole day. That's the nice thing about Ed Camps, is that you can pop in, pop out, and it's just a great way to have conversations, meet new people, and see what's happening in other school districts. So for more information, you can go to edcampseattle.org, and there you'll have a registration form you can fill out. Be really great to see some people there. I'm not sure if I'm going to make it. I'll have to look at my calendar and see if I'm going to make that one this year. But they're really good. I really strongly, they're free events, and always a great way to connect with people. So that's going to be it for this first show. It's going to be short because I'm talking to myself, but that's okay. That's the way it goes. So hopefully we can come up with a name for the show. If you have a name for what we should call this, something about the Northwest, something about education and technology, that'd be great. If you'd like to be on the show, or you'd like to have questions for future shows or topics you'd like to hear us discuss, or if you'd like to be on the show, please also drop us a line, and we'll make sure to get that information into our show notes for the next one. So that'll do it for this first one. We'll be back October 24th. So Monday, October 24th at 3:30 p.m. Pacific time, where you can listen to us live on YouTube or later on your favorite audio channel. Justin's going to download the audio and put this on iTunes and Google Music and any other place you can get a podcast. Also, you can, just a reminder that you can check back the links for today's show. We're going to start a Flipboard magazine. We'll talk more about that in the future, where we'll have links to all of the articles we talk about, things we discuss as the show gets going. And if you're not using Flipboard, I strongly encourage it. It's a great app to use with kids, free app to use with kids and help them have textbooks as well. So that's it. And hopefully we'll see you on October 24th.